Okay, in this video, we're going to zoom outside of time and space and observe what is going on. What is happening? What are you doing here? What am I doing here? What is everybody doing here? What's going on here? What is this process of life that is happening? What is happening in the midst of us being on this blue planet, spinning around in empty space, in vast voidness, just vast voidness, surrounded by all these celestial objects, by billions of galaxies, billions of stars. Let's zoom outside of time and space, because all of it is in time and space. The whole thing, Big Bang, 13 billion years ago. Time, that's when time started, right? Time, we're in time and space. Okay, let's zoom outside of it for a little bit. What is happening? Well, you could look at time and space and call the whole thing as the amusement park. Okay, this is the amusement park in which consciousness gets to experience itself in that form, in whichever form. Okay, now mind you, all of this is one plane that consciousness is experiencing itself through, the physical plane, the densest plane of them all. Okay, the physical plane, and all of it, the objects in space, but there's also the astral plane and many other planes, and that's also part of the, time space. All of it is within time space. And this consciousness software is massive. It's infinite. You can't comprehend it with your human mind. I mean, when you put your humanity, a human being in perspective, a human being is fragile. You really have to transcend your humanity in order to realize all of this. You really have to become God, essentially. And you can in a human form. That's the beauty of it. You can in a human form, but you really have to transcend. You have to transcend the lower nature. You have to transcend the animal nature, the lower chakras. Rise up the energy. Let the Shakti rise up to meet Shiva. So this is the amusement park. We said we want to observe it. We want to step outside of time and space. This is the amusement park. Consciousness is experiencing itself in all these different manifestations. It's experiencing itself through the human being, and this is the human being and all that comes with that. And this human being is born and then dies eventually. It's experiencing itself in the form of a tree. You see that tree, that is consciousness also. It is, you might even say, what do you think? Is consciousness experiencing itself in the form of a metal? This is metal, it's manufactured, created. Yeah, I would say so. I would say it is experiencing itself in everything. It's just in certain things, it experiences itself more fully. What do I mean? Consciousness is experiencing itself more fully in a human being than in a piece of metal. Okay, it's here, it's too dense. It's still there, but it's minute. Okay, it's not, again, this is the same thing as somebody who's sick. Somebody who's sick and tired and fatigued and exhausted isn't going to go out and appreciate beauty and contemplate the absolute. They're in a compromised state, but the consciousness is still there. Somebody who's healthy and vibrant, they're more likely to comprehend the absolute, experience himself fully. An enlightened being experiences himself, herself fully in all aspects, as a tree, as everything. So yes, consciousness is in here, it's in here, but right now it is experiencing itself more as a human being, more fully, not fully, but more, with more fullness, with more expansion. It is, the awareness of consciousness is expanded in a human being than say in a piece of metal. But it's still there in a piece of metal. It's in everything. So this is the amusement park, and consciousness takes on these different roles. Starts off from, day one. Let's call it the Big Bang. When the simulation was hit, the button was hit, and it programs itself, all aspects of itself, to go back to itself, go back to the source, the oneness. Now, then the game, you could look at it as a maze. You're inside a maze. This is a maze, and there are an infinite number of ways. It is an infinite maze. Okay, and there are an infinite number of ways to enter the maze and exit the maze. Now, yes, it is an infinite maze, but it appears to be, as long as it's in time and space, which is the illusion, there is a start and there is a finish. It's funny because once you get to the finish, I think there's a saying that once you go on the other side of the door, you realize there was no door to begin with. It's the way the maze works. You start off lost in separation, and you go back to oneness. But once you go back to oneness, you realize that there is no maze. That's the funny thing about it. But as long as we're in the illusion, which we are, I mean, me and you, by virtue of being in this physical plane, we are in the illusion. So as long as we're in the illusion, there is a start and there is a finish. Okay? So, start time, I'm totally separate being. Finish time is I'm back to the oneness. And then you realize there was no maze to begin with. So, let's just work with the assumption here that there is a maze, that there is a start and there is a finish. And so there are an infinite number of ways to navigate through this maze. So my way, this particular way of consciousness going from start to finish is going to be different than whoever you're watching. You're going to take different trips to get to the end of the maze and realize there was no maze to begin with. I'm going to take a different trip. We're all on these different trips. Okay, and we're all navigating our own little maze until we realize there was no maze to begin with. But while we're navigating, while it appears to be real, while it appears that we're navigating, while time and space appear to be real, then your trip is going to be different than my trip, than that tree's trip. See, consciousness in that tree is going to also eventually become one. Okay? But its trip is completely different than my trip, than your trip, to become fully enlightened. Okay? That's a different trip for everybody. Now, the interesting thing about these trips, they're infinite. So there are an infinite number of ways. There is no one way to get enlightened. There is no one way to achieve nirvana, to achieve moksha. No, in fact, the way you're going to achieve it is unique to you and only you. Okay? And it's going to be unique to me and only me. So as far as we're in the illusion, right? So me, when I say me and you, we're talking separate. We're just kind of playing along the act, along the illusion here. Okay? So there are an infinite number of ways to get to the finish line, and there is a lot of side shows and side trips. And in fact, I think so many times people will make a step forward. They'll go ahead. They'll actually go. They're in the maze and they've been stuck in a little place for a while, and then they go ahead and then they go on a side show. And the sideshow just kind of takes them back around, and they go back a little bit and like, oh shit. But let's go ahead again. But now you know how to go ahead because, let's say that, you're walking 100-kilometer road, okay? And you get to about kilometer 50, so halfway through. And you're like, I'm making progress, you feel it. Then you see that there is another road. Now you think that road's gonna keep taking you. So you go down that road. It turns out the road takes you back to like kilometer 30. But when you get back to kilometer 30 and you realize, oh shit, I took the wrong turn. But because you already got to kilometer 50, you go back pretty quickly from kilometer 30 to kilometer 50. And then you're like, okay, I took that way, didn't work, it took me backwards, let's go ahead again. I think that happens to everybody. It really does. And if I want to think about a personal example of mine, okay, there is a good example. So I, back in 2016, I experimented a lot with mushrooms and psychedelics, and that really started taking me far. It really started taking me far. And let's say I went from, kilometer 30 to kilometer 40 in that period. Then I went on some side shows, some side trips that I thought were pulling me forward in life. As it turns out, they brought me back to 30 again. Okay? But then I realized, oh shit, here we are, back again. But I know how to get to 40. So I got back to 40 pretty quick, and I think I'm now I'm going ahead past 40. I'm just throwing arbitrary numbers here, okay? But I really, if you look at your own life, you'll see this happen a lot. It's sort of a 2-step forward, 1-step backward type of thing, okay? And I see it in myself, so therefore I see it in a lot of people. And there's somebody that I know right now that is going through that as well. They've made some progress at some point, significant, and now they're going on a side trip. They think it's taking them forward, but I could see, because I went through the same phase, I could see that they're going backwards, but they're gonna realize eventually, oh shit, all right, let's go ahead again. I think that happens to everybody. So it is a maze. We are inside a maze. The amusement park, it's a maze. It really is a maze, and you're kind of trying different things, different parts, experiment. Let's go down that road. Let's see if it's gonna take me further. Let's go down that road. And a lot of times you take roads, they take you backwards. But eventually, then you're going around again. You say, okay, well, that took me backwards, but I know the way to go forward again. So at least I could get back to kilometer 50. Okay, get back halfway through. You get back halfway through, then you try a different thing, a different way. And you're like, oh, that actually took me far. Or you might try a different way that might take you back again, back to kilometer 40 or 30. And now you have to, go again. But the nice thing is when you get there, even if you take a road that takes you backwards, you know how to get back there again. That's the beautiful thing. Okay, that is, and that's, by the way, that's how reincarnation is. If let's say for example, let's just say for argument's sake that in my last life I achieved high states of meditation, high states of self-mastery. Let's just suppose that, okay, for whatever reason. Let's suppose that I died my last birth and I was in a highly conscious state, okay, which it wouldn't surprise me too much. Now I have experienced now 27, 28 years almost of largely living unconsciously. But I feel now I'm catching up very fast, which tells me that in my previous, very last incarnation, I had reached a pretty conscious stage. And so I could think of all the last 27 years of my life as that step backwards. The 2 steps forward, 1 step backwards. But I seem to be catching up pretty quickly now. I feel it, I sense it, I seem to be catching up. So then that tells me, because that's how reincarnation works, it tells me that once you get somewhere, you'll get, even if you take roads, if you go to step back, you know how to get there now. You got there. You unlocked it. You unlocked the level. If you're playing a game and you unlock a level, you unlocked it. You might get a little rusty, not play the game for a couple of months, 3 months, and get back and struggle a little bit, but you've already unlocked it. You know how to do it now. It's in your memory. So you could move forward. You could get back to that place a lot quicker. So that's the nice thing, is once you unlock something, it seems to me that the evolution of consciousness really is a 2 steps forward, 1 step backward type of deal. As long as you're experiencing yourself in this time-space continuum, in this illusion of it, playing like you're separate. We all do. We all have to. That's just the way the game works. Then it seems to me that it's a 2 steps forward, 1 step backward type of deal. It seems that consciousness, God, has a lot of time on its hand, and it designed a very elaborate game that goes on for many eons, because consciousness itself is outside of time and space. To it doesn't matter. I'll incarnate millions of times. I mean, you got to think like God here. You got to think like you basically, you're God. Think like God. Think like consciousness. Like, yeah, I guess who cares? Death is an illusion. I mean, that's what Krishna kept telling Arjuna. Arjuna was like, he was like being a little butthurt about, killing his cousins and having to fight them and fight his teachers. And Krishna was like, come on, bro. Like, he's like, bro, like, come on. Well, why so serious? Why are you taking death so serious? Arjuna, lighten up, man. Why so serious? You know, Krishna was being all joker. He's like, why so serious? Let's put a smile on that face. He's like, go kill, who cares? Go kill your cousins. They're not doing good things right now, and you've got to stand up and fight. Go fight your cousin. I mean, you die, they die. Who gives a shit? Krishna's God. The God, death is the cosmic joke. Is the biggest cosmic joke. Funerals are cosmic jokes. Grieving is cosmic joke. Crying for loved ones. It's all a joke. Yeah. Okay. Saeed, you're being cold and all. No, it is a joke. Death is the cosmic joke. There is no such thing as death. This is the words of Bill Hicks. A young man on acid realized that all matter is merely energy condensed in a slow vibration. That we are all one consciousness experiencing itself subjectively. There is no such thing as death. Life is only a dream, and we're the imaginations of ourselves. So then death is a cosmic joke. Death is and you know what? Okay. Sadhguru, you guys know Sadhguru. His wife did what is known as Mahasamadhi. In front of Sadhguru and a bunch of other people in their circle, she left her body. To these people, death is it. You think Sadhguru was sitting there crying and grieving? No! He was there. They usually, it's a celebratory thing they have. It's a celebratory thing. It's a celebration. You know, because she's going into Mahasamadhi, she's going into states of bliss. Okay? Sadhguru wasn't sitting there with a tissue crying. Sadhguru knows who he is. His wife, playing the role of his wife, knows who she is. Death is a cosmic joke, ladies and gentlemen. It is a joke. It is a joke. It is you're eternal. Wake up, you're eternal. You're not this. What does Yoda tell Luke? Luke, he tells him, luminous beings we are, not this prude matter. Wake up. Death. Right. So from the perspective of consciousness, yeah, I'll incarnate millions of times. Yeah, I mean, who cares? I mean, I'm eternal. I'm outside of time and space. Let's see what being a human is like. Let's see what being a tree is like. Let's see. Right? And then each individual part of consciousness comes to the oneness eventually through this constant incarnation and reincarnation, experiencing, contracting, experiencing, then coming back in again. Expanding, contracting. You know, let's incarnate, and then and each time you get a little closer to who you are, and eventually you're done. That's it. You're done. You're finished. You finished perishing. You've gone beyond the illusion of death. You're eternal. I want to thank all the Patreons for supporting this channel. You guys are awesome. You guys are amazing. And if you would like to pledge your support, you could do so with $2 a month. I mean, like, come on, let's be real here. $2 a month. You put it in there, you forget about it. Yeah, I mean, come on, what? You're telling me you don't spend at least $100 a month on like mindless stuff? You could add me, you know, you could just put in $2 for Saeed, right? I mean, come on. $2 a month, you forget about it. That's $24 a year. You help me out. Eventually we do this full time. I'd love to do this full time. Because if I do this full time, honestly, like, you'll probably see me post like 1 hour plus videos every day, you know? Yeah, if you'd like to support and help, I want to thank all the existing family members in Patreon, and all the future ones, because I know one of you guys is gonna pledge after this video, because this is a pretty nice video, wasn't it? So yeah, go ahead right now, pledge. Stop saying I will and do it now. Add me to your, let's go from $100 wasting money on mindless stuff to 102. Let's give $2 to Saeed, okay? And that's it. And until next time, may the force be with you.